Hi there, future P's. This is Wasim Asgar. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the US and Canada. I've authored several books on the topic of FE electrical and PE power exam preparation, and I also run popular exam preparation programs for FE electrical and PE power exams. So without further ado, let us dive into the content. In the next 20-30 minutes, what I want you guys to walk away with is improved understanding of the terminology associated with impedance, resistance, reactance, the formulas, and practically and physically what they basically mean. And I will also mention some of the tripwires, some of the common mistakes that I see folks making both at FE electrical level and the PE power when they're dealing with these quantities. This topic carries over from FE electrical to PE power. Entire circuit analysis carries over from FE electrical to PE power. So does power systems and portions of power electronics. Resistance is sometimes confused with impedance. Okay, these two are kind of almost interchangeably used, but they are not the same. Resistance is part of impedance, and so is reactance. We understand from Ohm's law that V is equal to IR. The opposition to the current flow is the resistance, and when current flows through a resistor, a delta V, a potential difference, a voltage difference basically is established. Resistance is indicated by R, and the units of measurement are ohms. The important thing about resistance, and when we look at these formulas in detail shortly, is that it is frequency independent. Whether you're looking at a DC circuit, whether you're looking at an AC circuit, the resistance value will stay the same. But if there is reactance as well in the system, in the circuit, then as you change the frequency, the value of the reactance is going to change, and the change in the value of the reactance is going to change the value of our impedance. This is important for us because in our real life, we rarely, use DC circuits. We actually have very limited application of DC. 90% of things that we encounter are AC. Even our power generation is AC, 90+% of transmission and distribution is AC, and utilization for the most part in residential, commercial, and industrial settings is all AC. Okay, so AC is frequency dependent and reactance is frequency dependent. Our impedance is frequency dependent. Our resistance is frequency independent. I've got this small request for you. 77% of you watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. That's a massive number. If this video is helping you out in any shape, way, or form, please do me a quick favor. Please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you will not miss out on any content that we've got planned, and it really supports the channel. Right? Just like resistance offers friction against flow of current, as you can see, it's just a fancier word that's used, inertia. The inertia against flow of current, the friction against flow of current, the obstacle against flow of current. In layman terms, they all sound the same. But what we need to understand is physically what these mean, the formula mathematically what they mean, and what are the practical implications. Okay, so these two statements practically are the same and they are accurate. That resistance and reactance do the same thing. That is, they impede the flow of current, and that's what basically leads us to impedance. One of the things that is kind of interesting is that in the context of specialized knowledge, whether we are talking about electrical engineering or economics, or whether we're talking about physics, the terms that are used in specialized fields or bodies of knowledge are actually very different when we actually apply them elsewhere. So shall, must, will are very different in legal terms, right? So shall is different from will, must. Similarly, law and theory. Okay, what do you guys think? Theory of gravity or theory of evolution, is it a theory in the same sense that I feel like, my explanation for my theory of this particular phenomenon is this, it may be right or wrong. What is the weightage of theory in the world of science, in the world of physics? Is theory based on some hypothesis that, over time is likely to be proven wrong? Or is it more like a law where we know for a fact that it is never going to be wrong? Any idea? Theory of gravity, theory of relativity, Einstein's theory, theory of evolution, and whatnot. By the time in physics and science something becomes a theory, it is actually based on a whole lot of facts, okay, that cannot be proven wrong, okay. So theory of relativity is not just somebody's brainchild in the sense that it's going to be proven wrong one day. It, as we understand it, is comprehensive and complete. When we basically get to certain other details, for example, Newton's theory of gravity, it is perfectly fine. You'd be surprised that all the rockets that we launch into the space, the calculations are actually not based on Einstein's theory of relativity, right? We don't need those fancy equations in order to basically launch the rockets into the space in the orbit. They are based on Newton's law of gravity. So the terminology is extremely, extremely important when we start dealing with more specific and more technical details. And that can be one of the differentiators between somebody who is at level 2 understanding, who just reiterates what they see, or somebody who truly understands the concepts. The difference between resistance and reactance that I want you guys to take away from this session is frequency. One is frequency independent and the other one is frequency dependent. When we change the value of f, which expressed as omega would be 2 pi f in radians, will yeah, hertz and the frequency in radians, it is going to then impact the behavior of the reactance. And the reactance itself is divided into two components, or it can be of two types. You can have the inductive reactance, can have the capacitive reactance. Any questions so far? Is it making sense? Do you have a better understanding of resistance and reactance? Functionally, right, if I put a black box around a resistor, and if I put a black box, I'm going to draw an inductor and a capacitor, from the standpoint of what it does to current is going to be very similar. It's going to impact the flow of the current, correct? But if I start changing the frequency up or down as a slider switch, this guy will have no impact. The same current will continue to flow, whether I take it to a million hertz or I go all the way to 0 hertz. The effect of resistor is not going to change. Amount of current is going to be constant because it's frequency independent. But if I throw an inductor or a capacitor in this and I start sliding up or sliding down the frequency, the reactance is going to significantly change and the amount of current flow is going to significantly change. Okay, so what is impedance? I like to tell my students in my FE program and in my P power program that a lot of people just simply use Ohm's law as V is equal to IR. This is not incorrect, but it's definitely incomplete. Okay, why is it incomplete? The proper form of Ohm's law is V is equal to IZ, because Ohm's law does apply to our reactance. Ohm's law does apply to our resistance, and whether we are talking about inductive reactance or capacitive reactance. And in order to fully capture it, we should be using Z. Why Z? Because Z is the impedance. Z incorporates resistance as its real component, the real part, and reactance as its imaginary part. So let's say that if in that black box I only have the resistor, correct? I can still use Z. What's going to happen to X? What do you guys think happens to X in this black box? The value of X in this black box is equal to 0. It automatically turns off. This automatically turns off. Makes sense? And what I'm left with is Z is equal to R. Will the Ohm's law hold true? Yes, it will hold true. But if I use this and the black box contains a capacitor as well, will this equation be accurate? V is equal to IR. When I also throw a cap inside this black box, this will not be accurate. Why? Because this equation is simply accounting for the resistor. There is also an XC. Okay, so the more complete form of Ohm's law is always V is equal to IZ. And then you can further refine it. You can say that, okay, this is a purely resistive circuit. I don't need to worry about the reactance. I'm going to turn off the reactance, and then the simplified form is going to be this. But knowing that where to start out with and how to further refine it is super important. And this is a comprehensive expression of any form of opposition to current flow. And the form of opposition to the current flow can be in the form of resistance and in the form of reactance. So if we look at the basically, if you look at any complex number, a please bj, for example, the magnitude of this complex number is always a square plus b square. And by the way, this is a topic in complex math within mathematics section 1 of FE electrical and computer exam preparation. When we work through the P power exam specification, we actually just take this as assumed knowledge, background knowledge, and we build upon it. And that's one of the reasons why if you do the FE exam and the P exam back to back, it does help you to leverage some of the fine details, the nuances that you encounter like this, and obviously some of the big items such as three-phase systems, delta Y conversions, KCL, KVL, which directly apply to P power. Okay, so this is the magnitude of our impedance. Impedance is measured in ohms. Reactance is measured in ohms. Resistance is measured in ohms. They all have the same units of measurement. Make sense? Okay, one more important topic that we really need to understand is the behavior of impedance in circuit analysis. The best way to kind of remember this or understand this is that when we are dealing with impedance, we should treat it exactly like we treat the resistors, both in the FE electrical and computer exam specification, reference handbook, and the P power reference handbook. We have the series arrangement of resistors. We have the parallel arrangement of resistors. Now, the series and the parallel arrangements for resistors and impedance are equally the same. If I have Z1 and Z2 connected in series, or R1 and R2 connected in series, or for that reason, if I have, when we talk about inductances, right, L1 and L2 connected in series, they all add Z1 plus Z2 plus Z3 plus Z4 plus up to Zn. R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4 up to Rn. Inductance, which does not have the same unit as resistance or impedance, it is Henry. I'm going to discuss that briefly. L1 plus L2 plus L3 plus L4 up to Ln. So this is easy. And the parallel arrangement is the reciprocal formula. If I have two of them, the product of the two divided by the sum of the two. Why is this important? This is an important concept because once you have captured Z is equal to R plus JX, whether this is XC or whether this is XL, you don't need to go out of your way to make any type of adjustment. And the reason I mention this is that the summation of capacitance and summation of inductance behaves differently. Okay, that's an important concept to understand as well. I'll briefly touch upon that shortly. Ohm's law holds for impedance, just like it holds for resistance and reactance. KVL, KCL, in other words, your Kirchhoff's laws also holds for impedance. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. On a weekly basis, I'm creating content for FE electrical and P power exam preparation. I also discuss topics related to electrical engineering with a focus on power systems engineering. If you'd like to learn more about my FE electrical and P power exam preparation programs, please visit my website, studyforfe.com.